And what was your name?
We're good. I'm Jeff. Miguel. All right. So, so you haven't heard my question yet, but
No.
you know it's religious in nature.
Okay.
So, and we don't have to talk to the camera, but it'll
Gotcha.
it'll pick us up. It's kind of like a wide angle. Maybe if let's see right around here. Yeah, it should be
Okay.
good. So, the question is two parts. Everyone's going to die someday. What do you think happens next? And whatever you doubt or believe about that is the second part. How did you get there?
Gotcha.
And that's where I ask, like questions about like your experiences growing up, things like that.
Gotcha. So then the first question would be.
First one is like, what do you think happens after we die? Where are you at right now?
Okay.
In life?
I would say it's changed a lot. So I grew up with like a Catholic upbringing, and I'm technically still Catholic, not confirmed. I would definitely say that the prevalent idea I have now is like reincarnation kind of a thing. So obviously once we pass away, we just come back in a different form. Not super like structured as far as like the super like Buddhist in nature, but kind of just like, I mean, I believe in heaven, but maybe heaven is here kind of a thing. So I think it really binds both of those ideas. Like, yeah, we move on to a different phase, but maybe it's just what we're doing right now. It's just in a different way.
And are you talking about like coming back as a person or some other kind of
a person,
existence?
a plant, an animal? I don't know. Just like, I guess like when as a kid, I would always think like heaven's got to get overcrowded eventually, right? So it's like I feel like we all come back in a different form.
Okay.
Kind of a thing. And to me, that kind of just makes the most sense. And I mean, like everyone's trying to make their way into heaven, but it's like, what if it's just more about the journey kind of a thing so far than the destination? So I think the reincarnation really puts it in that perspective for me.
So what I'm hearing is like you do have definitely spiritual beliefs. Like you believe you have a soul or something that's maybe separate from your body. Your body dies, but your soul lives on. So you kind of kept that idea from the religion you were raised in. The whole idea of reincarnation, like in the Hindu sense, you're kind of like upper or lower depending, like there's some judgment involved there. So are you maybe I should back up and say like what do you base your belief on? It's not Hinduism or Buddhism.
No.
Just kind of like it sounds nice kind of thing, or
I mean, like I said, like I went to Catholic school growing up. I went to I went to a Catholic college too. So I love Christianity. I'm so glad that's like it just seemed kind of like be a good choice growing up my parents made for me. When it came down to confirmation, I was like, I'm not into organized religion that much. I'm so
and that would have been
spiritual.
about the age of about 13, 14?
13, yeah.
Okay.
And so like I was just like a lot of my friends too, we all went to Catholic schools and stuff, and so we kind of just like we don't we like religion, we're all spiritual, we're good people, we try to be good people. But it's like eventually like we just feel like maybe like the structure and like the rules behind it kind of just don't we don't want to like it's like
for teenagers
so I mean it's more based like I did go through like a phase where I was just big into Buddhism and obviously like
so you know a little bit about it
and like the judgment comes more as like the karma and like the things that you do rather than like growing up it's like God's judgment day kind of thing and I feel like a lot of people like it strikes some dread into individuals because they're like, well, if they're doing things wrong, God's gonna like send me to hell kind of a thing. Where it's like, I mean, we all make mistakes, we have no idea what we're doing kind of a thing, and we think we know the answers, but like eventually like your actions and your thoughts are what gonna determine what happens to you afterwards, not one person. In this situation, God. So it's kind of just based on the Buddhism a little bit more, but very lax. Like I don't know like all like the scriptures or anything like that. Or the rules specifically, but it's definitely like it kind of pertains to me a little bit more. Like it just relates.
So it sounds like the thing you're rejecting from Catholicism, Christianity, I guess, is the idea that God would judge you. Or that you would be accountable to God, kind of thing. Like karma is, in your mind, what, more of a automatic thing? Like there's no judgment; it just is what it is.
I guess like karma, it's like you can change the path that you're on by good actions, whereas in Catholicism, like, you have to go past forgiveness kind of a thing, and it's like you ask for forgiveness, but it's like, I mean, was that really your fault? So it's more like a guilty factor into it. Like, I feel guilty about this. And I remember when I used to go to confession, I just always used to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I fought with my brother, and I fought with my sister, and I got in an argument with my mom. It's like that happens all the time. It's like, I shouldn't feel guilty about that. Whereas karma, it's like, you know, like, let me strive towards something, and those actions will kind of like, the way Buddhists put it is like you're planting seeds, and those seeds are gonna, like, you have some sort of say into how they grow, kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
to me, it just made more sense.
It sounds like it's more impersonal.
Yeah.
And so more about personal growth, maybe.
Yeah.
Where like you're striving and you're challenging yourself, and so the judgment from the outside isn't there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I don't know, like, I know people that go to church every Sunday. They do all the sacraments, but they don't really like they do that, and those are the only things they fulfill, rather than, like, I don't know, helping at a soup kitchen, or, you know, tutoring someone, or helping out, not so much giving money to the poor, but kind of just like going beyond just following the rules of every Sunday you need to go and every holy day. Which, like I said, I love Catholicism. Like, I have a lot of friends who are atheists too, and I'm like, listen, I would never just be totally militant against that whole religion. It's just that it's very lax and impersonal.
When you think of a higher power God, I guess, do you believe in God? I guess in Buddhism there isn't an idea of God, right?
It's like a spirit. It's more like an agnostic kind of belief.
Yeah.
It's like we could sit here and argue about, is there a God? Who is he or she? And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, that's not going to make a difference in the way you treat people. I mean, things growing, like, I wouldn't be the person that I am today without the upbringing up that I had in the Catholic tradition. So I have them to appreciate, thanks for that. But I just feel like it's been in like a huge distraction, because it's like, why not just be better people in general? Kind of a thing. But,
so,
I mean, spirit.
Would you say you're a pretty good person?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I
you
feel
do
like
help in a soup kitchen?
I don't help in the soup kitchen, but tutoring, mentoring, kind of just helping people out, like, whenever they need anything. I have done soup kitchens before, and I volunteered at a hospital before. Just at this very moment, I would not say I'm doing a volunteer kind of situation. But
do you feel like you could ever come to the point where you feel like, yeah, I got it together, as opposed to maybe those church people who just kind of like put in their time and they're done? Right?
I feel like there's always room for improvement as far as like doing stuff, and there's a few times where I'm like, I should have stopped and talked to that person, or I should have, maybe like, why, like, don't be so like distant. And sometimes it's like just who I like to be sometimes. Maybe I feel a little more like introvert, or maybe it's just like I'm in a hurry, and it's like, why can't I just stop and just tell someone, like, hey, let me give you a hand, rather than just be in a hurry or just not be in the mood. Sometimes I find myself in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're human.
Yeah. So I try. Every day is another chance.
Yeah. When you say you make mistakes, like do you feel like is it a sense of do you feel like the good you do when you do good needs to outweigh the bad somehow? Like, do you feel like, because a lot of people I talk to, it's like they think in terms of like a balance scale mentality.
I guess it's just more like, it's not so much like I need to do more good than bad, but it's like, how do I move on from the bad kind of a situation? Because like, I've said things and done things that weren't nice, and it's like, I would never want to do those again, but you can't just say, well, look at all the other great things I did at that very moment.
Right.
It's like, you still hurt people's feelings, or
you can't go back and unsay the things you said.
Exactly, and you can't quantify it, so it's like, just make the bad things better and make the good things better as well.
Yeah.
Don't give up on that either.
Yeah. So, that's cool. Are you gonna have kids someday? Do you want to raise your kids in that? Do you feel like you would raise them as Catholics or Buddhists?
I've had that conversation before, and I mean, it's like,
I have no idea how old you are.
I'm 27.
Oh, okay.
Growing up Catholic, like I was like, this is the religion that makes the most sense. And then I learned about other religions as well, and talking to other people about what they believe in, and it's like, I want to, but it's like I'm the person I am today because I started off in the Catholic religion. So
you definitely know you benefited from it.
Yeah, I mean, I got to talk to like the other half, the other person who helps me help make this child. So maybe they are like gun ho, which I've met people that are like they need to be my religion. I'm just like, okay, like
yeah.
To some people it means a lot. To me, it's just like I'm gonna teach them a little bit of everything. So,
yeah. I want to respect your time because you said 5 minutes, but at the same time, so I'm not Catholic, but I'm Christian. I go to it's called New Life. I don't know if you ever saw it in the neighborhood here.
No, not
from the neighborhood here.
Yeah, from the neighborhood. Yeah.
So we're Protestant. We're not Catholic. There's much more of a tradition of reading the Bible, and kind of trying to follow the Bible rather than maybe say church teachings or traditions, that sort of thing. If we do have traditions, or even if, as I talk to Catholics or whoever, when I hear about the different traditions, my frame of reference is that according to the Bible, or is it something that's appeared in the church teachings over the centuries that's not in the Bible?
Yeah.
So that's to me, that's the biggest difference between Catholic and Protestant is like, what's our source of authority, right? So I want to give you just a different take on Christianity than you might be used to.
Okay.
I'll make it quick, but not too quick. So I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is, if I'm going to be a good person, it's because I feel guilty. I don't know, like where the guilt comes from, like guilty because if I don't, I might go to hell, or guilty because I know Jesus died on the cross. Is that part of it too, or what?
Yeah.
Where does the guilt come from?
I mean, you listen to the story, and as a kid, I used to always be like, God, like if I was there, like I would have tried to stop it. Like, why didn't people stop it? Like, we're bad people for not stopping it. And it's like growing up, it's like there was like political and like historical things.
Find out all sorts of things.
Yeah, there was a lot more than that than just like a one-dimensional story about someone who's being put through some, like, in the scriptures, like it's a test from God kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's just like when you come to find out more about like what was going on at the time, it's like no one probably would have stepped in because
they were scared.
Who's going to mess with the Romans and all that stuff? So
yeah, as I read it in the Bible, I do see multiple reasons for all of this happening. Jesus himself said, the main reason I'm here is to die. Like early in the different Gospels, he was headed towards Jerusalem. Like he had a mission to accomplish. And so, and then other parts of the Bible talks about the cross and Jesus' death for our sins was the primary emphasis of the Christian faith. But there's the other part about like he was willing to suffer and he was willing to give his life for others, and he set an example, and so there's other parts to it that that like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's possible to like look at it as there's a primary reason and then secondary or additional reasons, I guess.
Yeah. I guess just growing up, like it was a lot of the part that I pick up the most is the guilt part. It's like, oh man, like we're all guilty. We got to figure this out and ask for forgiveness. And, be better people. But it's just like. Then one time I took a class about just like the person of Jesus, and it's like, I mean, this guy he's a real guy, like he's has no idea what's going on, and it's like maybe there's something was telling him to do it, and he was up for the challenge. And
was that in a college class? Or?
Yeah, it was in a college class, and so it's just like, I mean, I see the aspect of like you're being challenged to do the right thing all the time, and especially with integrity, like it's no one's looking. So what are you gonna, like, can you get away with doing the the wrong thing, or So I look at that story too, and I'm just like, like he had a lot of guts going through with it, and it's like I should try to be like that sometimes.
I mean, great example. So for me, I became a Christian when I was in my late teens.
Okay.
I'll just tell you my experience with it is that the people that helped me understand, it wasn't people from my church. They're from like a ministry to teenagers.
Gotcha.
But so they really put it in my language, you know,
Gotcha.
in a way I could understand, and they helped me to see that when I sin, when I do wrong, if I lie, if I steal, if I, you know, like I've done all the different, break the 10 Commandments in any way, I'm sinning. It's not just like a mistake, it's actually a moral decision. It's not just like, I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah, I knew what I was doing,
Yeah.
and I knew it was wrong, you know? And so they helped me to see that I'm a sinner, and that the Bible, Jesus talked more about heaven or hell than he talked about heaven. Like Jesus, and he made it very black and white. Like there's a judgment day, and there's a heaven and a hell. And if we were to be treated according to our sins, I wouldn't deserve to go to heaven.
Yeah.
For that, you know, it would be hell. It would be to be punished. You know, and I've come to understand that God is a God of justice. Because he's good, there has to be a consequence for sin.
Yeah.
So, for example, if God dealt with a child molester and didn't do anything about it and just said, oh, well, that's okay, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
So justice demands there must be some kind of a punishment for sin, and the punishment has to fit the crime. That's what justice is, right? So if that's true, then I deserve the punishment of hell. It's not heaven. It's separation from God. The whole idea of our relationship has been broken. Even talked about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. You know, like the thing that immediately when they rebelled against God and ate from that forbidden fruit, did something God said not to do, even as small as that, you know, eating a fruit. Immediately they knew they were naked, like they're exposed. It's like, oh, God knows everything about me, and I want to get away from him, and I want to hide. And so they go off and hide, and God seeks after them. And so to see the Bible as a story of a relationship, a close relationship between man and his creator, and then it's broken by sin, and then our own relationship with God is broken by sin, and God is coming after us and seeking us out and restoring that relationship, that's a whole different way of looking at it than just if I'm a religious person and I feel guilty and I got to do these things. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So most religions will say, if you're a good enough person, you'll have a better afterlife. You'll be rewarded somehow, right? Even Christianity and Catholicism, like most people that really don't do their homework, just assume, you've grown up in it, you just assume, hey, I just got to be a good person and then I'll get a better afterlife, right? The Bible actually says, and this is the bad news, we could never be that good.
Yeah.
Like, I could never be so good that my good would outweigh my bad, because the good things I do, I should do anyway. I can't use them to outweigh my bad.
Yeah.
The bad things I've done, I know I did them full well. Like, for example, have you told lies?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You knew it was wrong to lie?
Yeah. Of course so.
You had good you know, like, have you ever taken anything that didn't belong to you?
Yeah.
So you'd be a thief.
Yeah.
Liar and a thief.
Yeah.
You know? Have you ever used God's name disrespectfully?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's called blasphemy.
Yep.
You ever, hopefully you never murdered anyone?
No.
Now, are you familiar with Jesus said, if you look at your brother with anger and you call him a fool, you're in danger of the fire of hell?
Yeah.
And so he was talking about murder. This is Sermon on the Mount. He's talking about the 10 Commandments, and he's expanding on them. And he's saying it's not just what you do, but the spirit in which you do things, right? And so if you've looked with, or if you've called people a name in anger, that's like hurting them with your words.
Yeah.
If you've looked with lust, it's like committing adultery in your heart, he said, you know? So I'm guilty of all these things, and it's like guilty as charged. How can I can't do enough good to pay for it, because I should do good anyway.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do. We should do these things, right?
Yeah.
God gave us our ability to do good, your health, your time, your energy.
Yeah.
We should do good. So if you think about like being in a position where it's like they call sins like debts, you know, like you're indebted and you can't pay for your debt. That's called being bankrupt. We're morally bankrupt.
Yep.
We can't pay, and so what kind of hope do I have? And that's what these people helped me to understand. And
that's cool.
when I was a teenager, and it's like, okay, I guess I'm in trouble. And it wasn't even a feeling of guilt. It was more like a feeling of, I don't want to go to hell, Kind of like, I'll put it like this. It's more like, if I know gravity is always constant, I know better than to jump out of an airplane without a parachute, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't feel like someone's threatening me with gravity. They're just being kind, and they're telling me, hey, you jump out of an airplane without a parachute, you're going to die. The law of gravity will kill you,
Yeah.
So it's such a constant that I don't feel like it's I don't have a sense of guilt or a sense of someone's like trying to scare me. It's more like, thank you for the warning. It's a friendly warning, a friendly reminder, of the truth. Like if someone was walking towards a cliff and they're blindfolded or blind, and you warn them, you're not trying to manipulate them or guilt them into not going over the cliff. You're just trying to tell them, hey, there's a cliff there,
Yeah.
So that's how I view God's justice, is that it's so perfect that there must be a punishment for sin, and there is a safety line thrown out to us, is that God himself took our punishment for us. You know how he did that. He took the form of his son, dies in our place, and so it's like, here's a safety line. Grab a hold of this, then you don't have to, or you're jumping out of this airplane, here's a parachute, put it on. And so there's no sense of guilt or manipulation. I just felt like, thank you for telling me that, and yes, I will grab onto that safety line, And so I have encountered, I have these like different analogies, like it's like jumping out of an airplane, just because a lot of people are in your boat. It's like we don't want to feel like we're manipulated into Christianity, I guess, or a religion, or following God and Christianity, So for me, it was more like this was a new revelation. God took my punishment for me. How can I respond? Gratitude, maybe would be a good place to start.
Definitely.
And so out of gratitude, I began to follow Christ and call myself a Christian and say, how can I live out my faith in him? Because I've put my faith in him, So I feel fortunate that I never had felt what you're feeling, is that feeling of guilt or that feeling of, I don't know if the manipulation
I
thing.
feel it a lot less since I've left, the organized religion, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of never really. I know one day I will go seek out organized religion. I'm sure one day it's going to either getting married or teaching my kids or just having a hard time being forced, jumping off that airplane and finding out I don't have a parachute.
Right.
I know I will. I know I won't rule it out because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm pretty sure someday it's going to happen. It's going to go back. My mom tells me to do it all the time. But like up to this point, like I just feel like very at peace as far as like on the path that I'm on, spiritually. And I just feel like spiritually, like I treat everyone the same. I try to live a life like just peace and just looking after other individuals. Some days are harder than others.
Yeah.
Some days like it's just there's too much stuff going on in the world, and you just really like, well, what am I doing to make it better? Or like, where is God, kind of a thing. So, I mean, usually though, like I just feel like I don't try to manipulate others. I don't feel manipulated. I don't try to make other people feel guilty. I like to be at a service to others usually. So whatever they need, I try to push myself to be in that position to do it some help.
I try to get in these conversations knowing full well that I can't convince anyone. I would love everyone to follow Christ, I don't deny that, but at the same time I know I guess I feel like it was such a miracle in my life that I came to that conclusion, that got to be the same kind of miracle in other people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful to the people that helped clear it up, as far as help me to understand that I could put my faith in Christ and that I could be forgiven, and that so I do love having these kind of conversations, but at the same time I know everyone's on there.
Yeah.
Hopefully it helps you or whoever I talk to understand a little more. It's possible to have a relationship with God that's not based on guilt, and that's not like the Bible actually says true love casts out fear. Okay, so it's not even based on fear, even though I at one time feared God, and I still fear God in a sense that, hey, I'm one heartbeat away from eternity. I mean, God keeps my heart going. I should fear him, right?
Yeah.
So have that respect, like he knows, he holds my life. My life is in a thread, it's like, and the Bible actually says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So in other words, a right relationship with God might begin with fear, or this acknowledgement that you are God and I am not, and which I think is obvious, but not everyone thinks so.
Yeah.
You are God and I'm not. I fear you. I will follow you. I'll do what you say. But then once I realize what God did for me, died on the cross, took my punishment for me, it's like, wow, I fear you, but you love me. And if you died, if you gave up your son for me, how my fear is turned into love, because it's like, why would he hurt me if he died for me? If that makes sense, like if there was such a sacrifice made on my behalf and on our behalf, why fear? Why? I'm not saying we shouldn't fear God, but I guess I'm just saying we can trust him.
Yeah.
He's powerful. He's all. Hey, how you doing? He's all powerful, but he's trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be all powerful and be a cruel tyrant, but cruel tyrants don't die for you.
Yeah.
So I and one thing I just want to encourage you. Maybe you haven't done this in a while. Is read the Bible.
Yeah. I have a copy of it at home.
More, I read it like on a daily basis, just because it's huge, and I'm not going to just sit down and read it all in one sitting, or But Jesus said, "If you love me, keep my commands." And if he's really the Son of God, then the whole Bible is like a word from God. I want to know the whole thing, So I could just say, okay, Jesus, you said there's 2 commands: love God, with all your heart, and love your neighbors yourself. And I think I'm good. But then it's like it's up to us to determine, well, what exactly does that mean? How to love people?
Yep.
And it's like, well, let me keep reading the Bible and find out more. I don't want to be ignorant about that.
And it's a good read. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. Like I said, I'm not rejecting any of it. I think that it's great. I just think that maybe like where I'm at in life right now, and I could always look back and probably regret, look back and like, oh God, why didn't I do that? But it's just like at this very moment, I just feel like the things that I have in place kind of just are working for me, and so until that changes.
Are you pretty busy with work and stuff like that? Or?
Oh yeah, pretty busy with work and like just family and stuff like that. So I go to church with my mom.
Oh, okay.
Like my mom is.
Oh yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah, I got it. I have to. So. But other than that, like
that's good. That you're respecting your mother.
That's what she wants. That's what I'm gonna do. But I enjoyed it growing up, and I'm not the type to be like, this is baloney, or I don't like it, or no one should listen to it, or I'm just the type like, those stories were great. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll apply sometime later on in life. So.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Well, I want to give you something to read that usually when I talk to people, I try to leave them with something, and based on the conversation. Do you have much difficulties with, like, can I trust the Bible, or where did it come from, or do I trust the things in there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's written by a human, or it's written man-made. So.
I mean, there's about 40 different authors to the Bible. the more I read it, the more I'm convinced. Because the Bible claims it's God's word. In other words, they were inspired to write what they wrote.
Gotcha.
And the things that are in there are what God wants in there, like the history. It's not condoning the different horrible things that happened in history. It's just saying this is what happened. This is where people were at, and this is so. So when I say it's God's word, it doesn't mean it's like do everything that it says, because it's there's a lot of things in there that for the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll give you this. This
Awesome.
compares Christianity to other world religions, and
Cool.
so since you're interested in Buddhism,
Awesome.
you might like that. Give you
Thank you very much.
give you a and then here's my card. It'll show you my my YouTube
Cool.
address, and you
Can't wait
can.
to be YouTube famous.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, not too many people watch it, but that's all right. I just do it for
No problem.
for anyone who's